And what is up, everybody? This is Darren Garcia. I'm bringing up three different people today. All right, this is MMA rant, and it's three different people I'm going to be talking about. And first person I'm going to bring up is one of my personal childhood heroes, the original Green Ranger, Mr. Jason David Frank. Right. Uh, for those of you that don't know, he is undefeated in mixed martial arts. That's right. He's currently one of the highest ranking Muay Thai instructors in this country, in the United States, and he got into mixed martial arts. His his amateur record is 6-0. He has one professional fight and won that fight, and he feels like he's established himself to a point where he should get a big name fight, or at least a decent name fight. Uh, CM Punk, he put the challenge out for CM Punk because CM Punk is not doing anything, and there's no response from him. I guess not exactly sure why not, but you know what happens. To be perfectly honest, the most successful pro wrestler turned mixed martial artist was Brock Lesnar, and you could, look how well that happened. Uh, right now you got Bobby Lashley. Well, Bobby Lashley's still kind of going strong due to the fact that he, unlike Brock Lesnar, didn't get diverticulitis. So he's very strong. He's very fast. He's got enough cardio. Regardless of all those, dude is just straight jacked, man, just straight jacked. And it's cool to see him, like, even though he's in TNA, because of TNA's deal with Spike TV, that Viacom has him also fight for Bellator, because Viacom owns Bellator. But moving on from that, speaking, going to Bellator, we go to King Mo. All right, I've already stated before that I hate King Mo. You look up my Bellator review. All right, and the last Bellator big thing that they did, you had him talking about, they said that, oh yeah, this is his quote, it's his coin. They coined it, or like, oh yeah, this is a phrase that he came up with, dick riding. That people, who didn't necessarily want him here were made the decisions. It was like, if they didn't want him here, they never would have signed him. Okay, he won the light heavyweight tournament. He lost he lost the interim belt. Okay, you can't do nothing about that. Then make your way to the finals of this tournament and you lose to Rampage Jackson. I said in the last review that I did about it, Rampage basically did the most damage. King Mo was a much better wrestler that night. Took him down a bunch of times and landed, I think, 3 punches the entire fight. Tried standing up with Rampage, couldn't do it. Could not do it. In the beginning, he's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna stand and box with him, and even Rampage said he's not. He's not gonna try to box with me. He's not gonna box with me. He's gonna try to wrestle me. And as soon as they said fight, immediately shoots in for a takedown. So right then and there, you know that this idiot is a liar. I said, granted, if Rampage's jiu-jitsu was a lot better, that fight could have ended a lot quicker. He could have easily gained more control despite all the takedowns. But oh my goodness, like I said, Rampage did more damage. This dude could barely land a single hit. Just because you landed takedowns and press your chest up against him in the You know, I don't call that fighting. You know, you're just like you're basically pushing your chest out against somebody the entire fight, and you think you won. And because the judges ruled in his favor, wherein if UFC, that might have flown, but in Bellator, because the judges ruled in his favor, because he actually fought and he actually tagged you up bad, he's dick riding. Yeah, I don't get it. I don't get it. You just King Mo, you're just a sore loser. Shut up, just shut up. And next time, knock him out, submit him something, actually do something to him that says no ifs ands or buts, you won, because clearly you did not win that fight. Okay, and the last fight that you had, clearly the kid wasn't up to par, so of course you just dusted him. But you know what? You're not that good. You're not that good a fighter anyway. You know, while Strikeforce, you let go of the Strikeforce title. Why? There was no reason for that. And you go to Bellator, and you can't even stack up in Bellator. Come on, Bellator was worse than Strikeforce, and you can't even make it up in there. You won one tournament, lose the freaking interim belt, then make it to the finals, and then you can't even beat somebody you claim as a has-been, and then to come up and beat just another nobody, dude, you're worthless. Shut up. All right, last guy that I'm bringing up, for the most part, the General Mark Hunt. Okay, I don't think it's fair what they're doing to Mark Hunt in UFC right now. At first, Dana White admitted that he was just basically just trying to pay him out, and just okay, you're done, because the last company that they bought out, Mark Hunt had had a bunch of fights left on it. So when they bought that company, they bought the contracts, and they're like, oh yeah, Mark Hunt's done. We don't necessarily want him. So they offered to basically just let him go, but they'd have to pay out the rest of those fights. So Mark Hunt was like, no, I want to fight. Loses the first one, okay. Cage rust, okay, fine. Wins the second one. Goes on a 5 fight win streak, I believe. Then runs it to Junior Dos Santos, and took a pretty nasty beating. Then you come to find out that he was sick that fight. He wasn't necessarily up to par. He had that nasty cellulitis infection in his leg, and you see him recovering. Then you got him up against another. They put him up against another number one contender, freaking Bigfoot Silva. Mark Hunt got robbed. No ifs ands or buts. Mark Hunt got robbed. Mark Hunt scored more. Got more takedowns. He definitely did more. Definitely did more damage. Bigfoot was a bloody mess. Then for them to end it in a tie, but that sucked. Then to find out that this guy, that counts as his loss as on his record, because his testosterone levels were way too higher than normal. Granted, he's on testosterone therapy, but he's on testosterone therapy, but that was even too high for the therapy that he was on. So for them to take that away from him, take that draw away from him, they don't give Mark Hunt a win. That didn't make any sense. It maintained the draw, and then all of a sudden, they're not even trying to give him because whoever won that fight was supposed to get number one contender, but they left it as a draw. So Mark Hunt didn't get it, which is stupid. Then just recently, Mark Hunt knocks out Big Country, Roy Nelson, and I feel like you know UFC. This isn't the first time they've done this to promising fighters. Granted, I'm not saying that Mark Hunt can win the heavyweight title, but he's more than earned his shot at it, man. He could take a lot of punishment, and if one of those hits connects, whoever's champion after the Velasquez Verdun fight, whoever's champion after that, like if that punch connects, someone's getting wrecked. No ifs ands or buts, someone's gonna get wrecked, and I feel like they're not gonna do this for him, which is not fair. That's not cool, man. It's not He's not the first person they've done this to. Look at poor Carl Parisian. Carl Parisian was supposed to have a title fight when was supposed to have a welterweight fight when Matt Hughes was still champion, and due to injury, he couldn't couldn't do it. But then they never rescheduled it. And that at that time, UFC wasn't doing shows every month. UFC, hell, you never knew when the next UFC was gonna happen. It could be like a month, uh, 2 to 3 months later. Uh, then once they start, then it's like after Matt Hughes, he just finished beating. Um, it wasn't even a title fight. Uh, Joe Riggs beats Joe Riggs. Then they make him fight Hoist Gracie. Granted, it might have been cool to see Hoist Gracie fight again, but that should have been Carl Parisian's spot right then and there, man. Then put him up, to put him up against Matt Serra. Beast, was losing the first round, then the next 2 rounds beats the snot out of Matt Serra. Uh, to put him up against Diego Sanchez. Diego Sanchez is somebody else who should have who should have gotten a title shot against Matt Hughes. And this is when Diego Sanchez was still undefeated. So nobody cared about Matt Hughes anymore. He was the champion. Nobody cared. Everybody wanted a piece of Diego Sanchez. Nick Diaz tried, failed miserably. Carl Parisian tried, failed miserably. Carl Parisian's fight still stands. I think still stands at the top 100 fights in UFC history. There still stands at number 3, and or at least it did for a while. I don't know. I don't know how many times they've changed it. But I used to say like there was I had a list and of the top 3, and that fight was always number 3 for a very long time. It was a phenomenal ground fight between a jiu-jitsu and judo practitioners. Man, the fight was all over the place, and when Diego Sanchez wins that fight, and then when GSP pulls a groin muscle and he can't fight for the pay-per-view against Matt Hughes, they give it to BJ Penn, who just finished losing to George St. Pierre. The first time that they fought. I was like, you should have, like I said, you should have given it to Diego Sanchez. Granted, Diego, fought not that much earlier, but he was a good enough wrestler. I felt like he was a much more technical grappler. Way better jiu-jitsu, and he would have, he could have just as easily walked away with the King of the Cage, and UFC welterweight titles, but unfortunately that never happened for him. Carl Parisian, after the Diego Sanchez fight, goes on a serious win streak, and again, never gets another title shot. He just finished just completely laying waste to Phil Baroni. Phil Baroni, I feel bad for because for somebody like him, I could never understand how like him and Vitor Belfort. How is it that somebody can hit that hard, that fast, that accurate? Like how the hell do they lose? How the hell could you possibly lose? And Phil Baroni, unfortunately, he was used up too quick. Used up entirely too quick. He doesn't have too many. He doesn't have too many victories against any big names. But then again, when he was winning, in early days of UFC, like nobody was a big name. Former UFC middleweight champion Dave Menne. Who is he? Yeah, friggin' just absolutely destroyed him. One of the most devastating knockouts in UFC history. Freaking plastered him against the cage. He had a couple. They had a couple of decent pride victories, but neither one of those was his fight against Minowa. Minowa, Minowa immediately came back and revenged that loss. And then I forget the other one. It was like this guy, I think it's Yuki Kondo. I want to say it's Yuki. I don't know. He's fought Tito Ortiz, lost. He fought Vanderlei Silva and lost. And, fought, then of course loses to Phil Baroni. So, whatever. And like I said, I feel bad for him because first time I ever saw it, was like, wow, that's freaking awesome. Then to see him lose as many times as he's been losing, people pretty much give him shows because they know him from the old days, and then he'll fight a couple of nobodies, knock them out, no problem, just dominate them, no problem, and then lo and behold, they just he gets a big name like Carl Parisian, Joe Riggs, especially Frank Shamrock. Like, what did Phil Baroni do within Strikeforce that merited a title shot against Frank Shamrock? I honest to God don't know. I mean, hell, even Frank Shamrock getting that getting that title shot, like he had just finished losing to Renzo Gracie. Whatever. And it was mostly because of a DQ, but granted, he was losing the fight. Anyway, I've mentioned the three people like Jason David Frank. He's not gonna. I want to see him fight again, but he's not gonna fight unless they give him some. Actually give him somebody worth, taking the time out to train for. Then like I said, King Mo, shut up. I'm sick of hearing you. And Mark Hunt, man, Dana, Mr. White, please, Fertitta Brothers, whoever it is that freaking give this guy his shot already, okay? Don't make him wait any longer. He and like this is something like he said. He says this all the time. I feel like I'm the best fighter. I feel like I'm the best fighter in the world. I just gotta prove it. Let him. Just let him prove it just one time. All those other contenders, they're still gonna be there. He's coming towards the end of his career because he's already 40 years old. If you give him that one last shot, who knows? Maybe he could. Maybe he could win. To add on to his K1, his kickboxing and mixed martial arts career, be the first K1 middleweight K1 Grand Prix champion to win, to win a UFC title, because nobody ever has. Granted, you got Alistair Overeem, winning the K1 Grand Prix. Dream heavyweight champion, and of course Strikeforce heavyweight champion, but Mark Hunt has done so much more, and I really feel like anybody who's a fan of his, anybody who's an MMA fan, knows that this guy more than deserves a title shot already. Give it to him, if nothing else, like win, lose or draw, let him go, okay. Get that, at least get that title shot in. Win, lose, or draw. That be the end of it. If you're basically just trying to burn this guy, out, at least give him what he deserves already. All right. And I'm done talking. Have a good day.